Welcome into Between the Pylons. I'm John Camacho.
And this is Jacob Waters.
And we are back. There is no snow on the ground. It is not dangerous to drive. We are here. Sorry about missing last week, guys. I appreciate everybody who did reach out and check on us. That was really awesome to hear and awesome to get a little bit of feedback.
People care, bro.
People care. Yeah,
that's what I like the most. Yeah. I'll miss again just so y'all can talk to me. It's fun.
But hey, we're back. We missed a little bit last week. Well, we were planning. We actually had, for the first time ever, we had like 4 shows in a row planned out, like all the way up to free agency, and this kind of screwed it all up.
Go figure, that's how it happens.
Oh well, we're gonna keep it rolling, and we'll adjust as it goes. Before we get into free agency, because right now we are going to do our full offensive player free agency. Talk about the guys that could be on the move, look for re-signing. I'm also going to bring up a list of guys that could be cut because the salary cap is going down. It's expected to be around $180 million. That's going to put teams that were already going to be close to the edge in the red, and that's going to put teams that, you know, maybe want to spend some money on some of these top free agents. They don't have that adjusted income that they thought they were going to have from an increased salary cap or even equal salary cap from last year, because that's how all these teams work. They plan for the salary cap to keep increasing. Yeah. I said salary crap, so put that on the list. That's my bad. Salary cap to keep increasing. They plan for that, and that's how they operate. That's how every team operates. So I want to bring up some names, high cap guys that, you know, might be getting cut. We'll talk about that later. Let's get into the Carson Wentz trade, and we got to talk about J.J. Watt after that. What were your reactions of Carson Wentz?
I think it's a great landing spot.
Yeah.
I think the value was right. I'll start by saying that first.
Really?
I think the value was right for what I would actually pay for a Carson Wentz, but the Eagles, you know, with the Stafford deal and all that, I definitely thought they could get a first, or should have gotten a first in a way. But, you know, looking at the trade in itself, Eagles got rid of their guy, got rid of the old guy. I think it was time with the way that him and Peterson kind of had that falling out, not talking for months on end. Going into an actual NFL season, not talking. How do you do that with your head coach? I don't know.
Ridiculous.
So we get to see Hurts hopefully take over there and maybe give it a shot. I don't know, though. That number 6 pick got all sorts of questions around it.
Yeah.
But the big one is Carson in Indianapolis.
Yeah.
It is a home run land for him. I think it is a great offense. They have a great offensive line. They have a really solid defense that he can go ahead and step in. And he doesn't have to shoulder the load like he did in Philly for, you know, these past few years that we've seen.
Yeah.
Frank Reich, mastermind behind all of it anyway, so let's see MVP Carson go get it.
Yeah, man, look, that was kind of my first thought is, and really throughout the offseason, like, the Colts seemed like the obvious pick. Like, before there was the Matt Stafford drama, we knew that Carson Wentz was probably on the move. We've known this for a while, and we've always been saying, hey, Colts are the obvious landing spot. It made perfect sense for both sides, really. And, it kind of seems like, and, you know, I don't want to take anything away from Peterson because I know he had his part in the Super Bowl run, but it does kind of seem like, history being what it is, Frank Reich may have had a lot more to do with that than we really thought at the time or really realized, because Carson Wentz did kind of fall off a cliff. And I know injuries are a big part of that, but he fell off a cliff after that 2017 season. You mentioned value. I was a lot more surprised by the value than you were. You said that's what you would pay, and I get that.
Just didn't value him that high.
Yeah, and I get that, man. I did value him as a guy who could go out and be a superstar, because I've seen him be a superstar. So can he do that again?
I just don't know if that's worthy of multiple first-round picks.
Yeah, no, and I 100% agree with that as well. I thought if Matt Stafford was worth essentially 2 first-round picks, because I stand by the fact that extra third was to take Jared Goff off the books. So essentially 2 first-round picks for Matt Stafford. I would think that Carson Wentz was at least worth one, and maybe he'll be one. For everybody who doesn't know already, it's a conditional second that can be a first if he plays 75% of his snaps, and then obviously a second this year as well. And I think what it came down to is nobody else was really in the market. Because
you're right.
and everyone thought, or there were rumors that the Bears were in the market, and I think those were rumors that the Eagles were trying to push. But at the end of the day, the Bears never really made sense, because why would Matt Nagy can't afford to miss on another quarterback, right? So why would you go for the quarterback that has a lot of question marks from 2 other quarterbacks that have a lot of question marks? That didn't seem to make a whole lot of sense to me. I think it makes sense. I think it makes sense for both sides. I am very nervous about the Eagles, though.
with their future, I wouldn't say I'm nervous. The thing that was weird for me is whenever they got Nick Sirianni, I've heard a lot of stuff saying that that's Walmart Frank Reich. You know, like that's why I thought everything pointed to Carson Wentz staying in Philadelphia after the Sirianni hire, just because it's like, okay, well, they got a guy who was under Frank Reich and kind of can do the same thing that got Wentz, success. Well, now we see the trade. I mean, listen, they cut the Eagles. They cut Alshon Jeffrey. They cut Deshaun Jackson. They are eating the highest dead cap penalty we have ever seen with this Carson Wentz deal. I think that's something that a lot of people aren't talking about. It's over, I think it's $33 million.
Yeah.
It's detrimental for this year. Tank.
Yeah.
This next year,
if
you have nothing working for you, I would run it with Jalen Hurts. I would take the best receiver available at 6 and see what you got in Hurts. Maybe it's a budding star. If not, okay, you're fine because you don't have the pieces to really put it together on offense. No way.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And you talk about, the dead cap and everything. They're also paying a lot of older guys. Like there's a lot of dudes on the roster. I don't have a full list.
That defense is very old.
It's gotten older. Yeah, and they've declined as it happens, and those contracts have not gotten smaller. So they're in a tough spot. I absolutely agree with you. They're in the same spot that the Lions are in, really. Aim for the bottom. Like let's just rebuild.
I would take Philly's roster over Detroit, though.
I'm saying for this season,
your future
what are you trying to do? Yeah.
I mean, come on now, playoffs at best. If you really want that, just to lose in the first round, no.
And I think there's conversation about that Eagles drafting a quarterback. I think you're right. I wouldn't. I'm going to stand by that. And if they do, hey, fine, we'll see. But I would not take a quarterback in the first round. You have Hurts. He looked okay. He looked okay at times, and there were moments. You
can't say that he's a star. We don't know yet, but there were times where he was, formidable.
He certainly was able to handle a bad offense better than Carson Wentz was.
Yes.
I mean, with his legs, he used his legs a lot. That was a big aspect of it. But yeah, so we'll see what happens. Hurts absolutely deserves a chance. And he deserves to have that spot. They've said that they're going to bring in a quarterback. That could be Ryan Fitzpatrick. That could be an Andy Dalton.
Cam Newton.
That could be a Cam Newton. That's another good one.
Yeah.
Or it could be a real option. We don't know. But we'll see what happens with that. What were your thoughts on J.J. Watt?
It's weird. I think J.J. still has some good ball left.
Yeah.
I want to see him go to a true contender. Off the top of my head is the Pittsburgh Steelers, just because of the brothers and the family. But then you have money.
Yeah, they can't afford it.
They can't afford it unless JJ or someone else in the Steelers is willing to, make some stuff work. I mean, because they are losing one of the Pouncey brothers for the Steelers, so they are going to have some money getting freed up recently with all these new retires and losing some of these guys. But yeah, Packers, Titans. Steelers, someone it's a true contender he can go to right away. Yeah. And 2 years left, see if he can get a ring.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. I was kind of surprised by the surprise of people being surprised that the Texans were willing to cut J.J. Watt, because to me this felt like J.J. Watt got out ahead of it. But I thought the Texans were already they had to cut J.J. Watt. He was $17.5 million with no cap penalty if you cut him. They got away free and clear from $17.5 million. They had to cut him. There was this whole thing that J.J. Watt asked to go and all these things. I'm sure he did, and I'm sure J.J. Watt didn't want to be there. I'm not taking anything away from that. But I think the plan all along was for the Texans to move on from J.J. Watt.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Now was the time. You have no point in having that money with you anyways if you're going to be going out there and competing for 5 wins on the year.
Exactly. And they're going to, the way they're going to have to overpay from free agents. That's how it's going to have to work for the Texans for a while. They are a very, very toxic organization right now. I can't imagine any free agent, if you have the same amount of money in 2 different teams, you're not going to Houston. You don't feel like you have a chance. And that just is what it is. That sucks for all the guys that are already under contract and stuff. See what happens with the Deshaun Watson thing. It seems like, just real quick to go to that, just really, really quick. Doesn't seem like anything's changed. Seems like the Texans are kind of digging in and saying they're not going to move him. They're not accepting any calls, all this. It's going to be interesting, man. I don't know what's going to happen with it.
While we're on the Deshaun thing, we have to mention the rumors about Russell Wilson.
Yeah, I don't believe it. I don't.
They said that the price starts at 3 first. We saw the first report come out that Russell's camp was upset with how many times he had been hit in his career. It's 370 total sacks, is the most by anyone currently in the league. And I mean, if I've seen the training method that he does and stuff, how he's trying to preserve his body, kind of like Tom Brady later on into his career, keep going up until that 40-year-old mark, and he's not going to be able to do it, getting hit like he is. Yeah. So he's really not. I don't know. I think they're idiots if they trade him.
Yeah, I don't think they want to trade him. I haven't seen anything that says they're really going to consider a trade.
First is the asking price.
Yeah, and I can't even imagine that would be enough. Really,
would you pay it?
I would absolutely pay it. Yeah, if I'm the Dolphins fan, I would absolutely pay it. I would pay it for either of those guys. I think Russell Wilson. Obviously, Deshaun Watson maybe has more value because he's a little younger, but Russell Wilson to me. I mean, he has another 8 years. I would say a minimum. Yeah, he's already a Hall of Famer. He's a Hall of Famer. If he gets hurt next year and never plays again, he's a Hall of Famer. I hope, knock on wood. I don't want that to happen, obviously. But he's already a Hall of Famer. I'll go one step further. Not only just not ever really getting him an offensive line, but also just not getting an innovative offense enough. Like we saw it last year, or we saw it at the beginning of last year where they brought out some new stuff, and I was incredibly excited. I really bought into the let Russell cook and all these things. And then that same offense that they had from week 1 to week 5 was the same exact scheme, same exact plays that they were going into the playoffs with. You can't do that. Teams don't do that. Yeah. Like, you have to evolve somehow. You have to have something. They didn't have nearly enough creative plays to get DK the ball in space, because DK is an absolute beast. And you need to have like 3 or 4 plays a week where it's like, hey, DK's just going to get the ball here. Like see what he can do. I mean, come on. Very, very disappointed with the offense in general for all these years, letting Russ down for so long. Feel very similarly to the way I felt in the last couple of years of the McCarthy era with Aaron Rodgers. I was just like, man, I want the offense to change. I want and I blamed McCarthy. I don't.
Stale.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't blame Pat. I don't blame their coach as much. I just blame because he's a defensive coach. I feel like more than anything, and just bring in an offensive coordinator that can do something special. I mean, that at the end of the day, that's just what I want. All right, that's all. That's my take. Is that fair? Do you disagree with that?
Yeah, I'm good with that.
You're good with that? All right, let's move on. Let's talk wide receivers. Or we're going to talk all of our offensive free agents. We're going to start with wide receivers. I think that's going to be the biggest conversation. Then we'll do running backs. Then we'll touch on tight ends and offensive linemen. But man, there are a lot of good wide receivers that could be available.
Oh, a ton. It's exciting. And when you look at it though, the cap going down to $180 million, and this is another historically deep wide receiver draft class.
Yeah.
So you're going to have to balance here the books and getting a receiver in the 4th round who could just.
Yeah. Now, I will say it's not as deep as last year. I feel pretty confident saying
in some areas, I think it can be, though. I really do.
Really? Oh, wow.
I think there's some top-heavy guys, man.
I think there's 2 or 3.
If we look at 1 through 10 compared to 1 through 10, I think we can match up a line of this. I think
if you do that, your 1 is better than anybody else last year. Jamar Chase to me is far and away better. But I mean, your 10 through 6 or 5 or 6 from last year is better than this year.
It just depends on where you put class. Rondale Moore, Rashad Bateman, Terrence Marshall coming off the top of my head.
I think all of those guys
Kadarius Toney.
I think all of those guys, all of those guys that you've said, I think are behind what T. Higgins was, and gets into that range of where you put. I think right where Michael Pittman.
Those.
So that's kind of the range.
I named my 6 through 10 essentially.
Yeah.
That was my 6 through 10. Now I put T. Higgins at 5 last year. I'm saying that it's a really good fucking wide receiver class.
Yeah, no, it really. I'm not taking anything away. I was just saying,
Amon St. Brown.
Amon St. Brown.
There's
Amon Ra is awesome. Yeah, you're right. All right, so we got off topic.
Yeah, you're good.
All right, my number 1 wide receiver, and we disagree on this, but my number 1 wide receiver that could be available is Chris Godwin. Right, wide receiver, Bucks, 24 years old. Had some injuries last year. Didn't get to have that awesome, Chris Godwin, Tom Brady connection. I don't care. I think this is a guy who can go to just about any team and be a wide receiver 1 on the team. I believe in his talent as a true wide receiver 1. I believe in his talent as just a playmaker anywhere on the field. I really like Chris Godwin. I think any team should break the bank for him.
He's my number 2, and I mean, it's only a credit to the guy above him. It's not saying anything bad about Godwin. Godwin, 24 years old, can be the future. This is a guy that you can bring in automatically for a 4-year deal and get the beginning of his prime. And because depending on how he pans out, I mean, this could be a guy who goes into his early 30s as an elite wide receiver.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, though, I think it is in the Buccaneers' best interest to keep him for Tom Brady's sake. Yeah, he went quiet in the Super Bowl. A lot of things went quiet in the Super Bowl, though, and that was just a weird game plan that played out that night. They need him.
I get that. They can't pay everybody, and they already
really
have.
Can't. You have
they already have
you got to deal with on defense.
Yeah, and they already have a lot of pass catchers. Which I mean, granted, Antonio Brown's not going to be back. You're not. I mean, you're probably going to have Gronk back, but it's probably going to be a cheap deal. You're not really worried about the money on. So it's like, are you willing to pay a Mike Evans and a Chris Godwin elite wide receiver money, which they both deserve, and then just kind of figure it out with they got the 4th round pick out of
Mike Evans said on tape. He said, "Come take my money." It's okay.
Really?
He said, "Come take my money." He said he was willing to do that.
Hey, that'd be awesome. Run it back if he has a chance to stay with the Bucks, and if he has to take like $1 or $2 million off the top, I think it's worth it. Yeah. If anything less than that, man, Chris Godwin, go get your money. Like that's kind of how I feel about it. Man, we'll see.
Godwin's elite though, but here's my number one.
Yeah.
My number one. And I've been high on this guy ever since he first started playing in Jacksonville, coming out of Penn State. Yeah. I have loved Allen Robinson for a long time. Yeah. He has just had the misfortune of playing on bad offenses and mainly bad quarterback play.
Not even just bad quarterbacks.
But he still puts up amazing numbers. He has one of the highest contested catch rates out of any wide receiver out there. Some of the fewest drops when you look at these numbers that he gets to with the catches.
Yeah.
I mean, some of these aren't even, and also the most uncatchable passes. He's ranked top 20 in the whole league. And most of the other guys above him aren't even playing right now. That's how bad it is. He deserves a capable offense. He deserves a true captain of a team and a quarterback. Mm-hmm. You could just name so many different offenses with, just decent quarterback play that Allen Robinson could go to, and he could make it happen. If he did it in Chicago, because I love him, loved him at Jacksonville, he got a lot of garbage time numbers, but he needs a quarterback alongside of him.
Yeah, no, I absolutely
I don't want to see him go to Philadelphia.
Yeah, I agree with that too. Feels like Allen Robinson went to. Yeah, no, I agree with that.
I just feel lateral. I want to see the Packers. Everyone's going to say the Packers always. That's just
there's going to be. It's going to be the Packers and Philadelphia are going to be the two names for these free agents. I think you're going to have the Raiders in there. They're going to be in the conversation, but there's going to be some surprise teams that grab one of these teams. It wouldn't surprise me a bit if the Cardinals said, "Hey, we're all in. We want to get a legit number 2, and maybe not Allen Robinson, but as we get down this list, one of these guys that can be a legit number 2." Yeah, I absolutely agree with Allen Robinson. We're on the same page there. Loved Allen Robinson. Felt bad for him when he was in Jacksonville, had nobody throwing to him, and then have felt bad for him in Chicago when he had
him a quarterback.
Yeah, when he had Trubisky throwing to him, and then Foles a little bit. But he's still able to put up 102 catches when everybody knows where the ball's going. 1,200 yards, 6 touchdowns. A good season consistently. A good fantasy option as well. By the way, no one talks about him. I absolutely agree. Be interesting to see where he goes, because this is a guy who is going. Chris Godwin will probably have to ask, maybe he stays, maybe he goes. Allen Robinson's gone. I feel like he probably wants out. He should have gotten a deal last offseason. He didn't. It felt like to me that it was over.
There's so much shade with him taking the Bears out of all of his bios and Insta pics and Twitter and all that good stuff. He's ready.
Yeah, and also the other thing is he got a raw deal. Last time he was a free agent, he was coming off of a knee injury and took a very team-friendly 3-year deal. Now he is a free agent, still a baller, needs to get paid, deserves to get paid. Give
me your favorite team. You don't have to crunch numbers or nothing off the top of your head.
Yeah, I would love for him to go. I think the Bills need a wide receiver too. The Bills need one more guy. And if you added that style of wide receiver opposite of Stephon Diggs, because they're very different types of guys, but both really good at what they do. I mean, that would be ridiculous.
Listen, I love the Vikings, but god dang, Bills Mafia would be close in my heart, bro. If they were able to do
that'd be crazy, wouldn't it?
Josh Allen, Diggs, and Robinson, whoo. That'd be sexy. Draft Najee with your first round pick and you'd be done.
You're done. Edian for me. But same deal. All right. And then let's get into number 3. And look, we didn't spend a whole lot of time ranking these. We put in an hour basic thing. We argued about a couple things, but I think the next guy we'll agree on that is number 3. Let me know if you see somebody else. Juju Smith-Schuster, another dude who's gone, right? He is not going to stay with the Steelers. Steelers have too much money issue, and they have their wide receiver of the future, which is Chase Claypool. He's the dude for the next 10 years for the Chiefs, or for the Steelers. I'm sold. And then they have Deontay Johnson, who's a really, really good number 2, who does a lot of the same things Juju Smith-Schuster can do.
Yes, he can.
So it's kind of the same, similar type of guy. Juju's awesome. He's the guy that's like, man, he can go sign $8-9 million somewhere and be the awesome number 2 wide receiver that is a legit fantasy option, all these things on a team that's already kind of built. Like, I mean, I would love to see that.
He needs to do a little bit better job. I understand about, building a platform outside of football.
Yeah.
It did become a distraction at the end of the
It
day.
absolutely did.
Let's be honest.
That will be a question mark. And you're absolutely right.
I
But
mean, build your own brand, do your own thing, make a name for yourself. But if you were dancing on other teams' logos before games that go into playoff contention in this deep race, Buffalo Bills sticks out late in the season in my mind. Josh Allen said, let them dance all they want. We'll do the fucking talking at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And they lost. You were just throwing gasoline on a lit flame.
Yeah.
And you see what's going to happen. So Juju, great wide receiver. I see a lot of rumors with the Raiders going to get him. I think that would be a great addition.
Yeah.
I think he is a solid wideout. I do like the guy that we're going to talk about afterwards, just overall ability-wise. But 24 years old at Juju, you can't go wrong.
Yeah. No, I agree. Any specific spot you want him to go?
Raiders.
You think it's Raiders?
I stand by that. I think the
Raiders.
would be awesome.
They need a number 2. They really do. They might need a number 1 because I mean they got a lot of use out of Nelson Aguilar. He's a free agent. We'll see what happens with him. He made some money for himself probably this year. Yeah, I think there's a lot of places Juju could go. I kind of have a feeling that he's going to go to a weird spot that I didn't see coming. I don't know why I have that like weird feeling with Juju. And
the other one's the Jets, and I think the Jets.
I was just about to say Jets.
Yeah.
I was about to say Jets because that again is he wants the exposure. I feel like that's a big thing for him. Why not go to the Jets? That's the biggest exposure you're going to get, right? Like, I mean, that's ridiculous. All right, let's move on to the next one, Kenny Golladay. I mean, this is another dude. Look, we said a deep wide receiver. This is an awesome wide receiver free agency class, man.
We're technically on number 4 right now, and we're talking about Kenny Golladay, who is a top
ridiculous
20 wide receiver in the league.
Yeah, easily. Yeah, honestly, and he had some injury issues this year. I think there's really no way that he stays with the Lions. Why would he? Why would the Lions pay him either? They're tanking. They know that Kenny Golladay is going to be. He's a really expensive, really awesome player. But I mean, he's not going to change the amount of wins they have at the end of the day. I don't think.
No, it's not. But they're going to have to replace something though. They have Marvin Jones too. I guess you could just totally go into this year, and just use your picks and see.
Quintez Cephas.
Shit, bro, you got to land something. You're right.
Though. Wide receiver,
why pay Kenny Golladay all the big bucks? You know.
I mean, it just to waste his career. I mean, on the Lions that aren't going to be good for 2 or 3 years before they rebuild.
I think this is the one that's going to go to Green Bay.
Yeah,
I think this is the up north move in division. It happens a lot of times, and Babytron's going to find his way in Lambeau.
My only thing is, I wonder about Green Bay because first of all, they showed last year they weren't really willing to invest in the wide receiver position. We've talked that into the ground, but also like they're already paying a legit wide receiver 1. Do they want to spend a lot of money on their next wide receiver? It's just a question mark. I don't know the answer to that.
Every single time.
Yeah.
Historically, even in the draft, are they going to go do it? Yeah. No, that's just Packers being Packers.
To me, it feels like they're going to go out and get one of the next 2 guys because this is the tier break. I think we would agree.
Yeah.
Where like these are the legit top 4 options. Then you have this next tier.
These are guys who are wide receiver 1s on a football team.
Yeah.
That they go land on. These next guys are really good complementary pieces that could explode into that next role.
Let's name them at the same time and just kind of go through it so we can, we don't want to make this podcast 3 hours long.
Yeah.
Will Fuller, Corey Davis, Marvin Jones, Curtis Samuel are all in the same tier to me. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I think so.
Or would you put maybe a Will Fuller and a tier above all the rest of them?
I'm not there with Will Fuller, man. I think he's explosive at times, but there's been so many injuries.
Yeah,
the off-the-field issue going on with the, what was it? He took an
PEDs.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. Once again, I feel bad for just ramming Packers in everyone's brain.
Yeah.
But Will Fuller had the rumors linked to it with the trade, though.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons why they might be able to go get him for their number 2.
Yeah, that makes a whole lot of sense. To me, all these guys have been number 2s on their team. I think they're going to continue to be that. Well, Will Fuller was kind of a number 1, but you know what I'm saying there. Corey Davis obviously had a really good year, and this is kind of where we argue is like, man, would you put I put Corey Davis ahead of a Marvin Jones, and honestly, I was really close between Corey Davis and Will Fuller too. You disagree with that? Just kind of explain your reasoning there.
I think for 1 to 2 year deal, Marvin Jones can be. I mean, listen, him and Kenny Golladay on the same offense together, we paired in because it was a long time ago. But we did our top 5 wide receiver duos in the NFL, and they were on the list.
Yeah.
I think that has to go for something. Yes, you separate them, you take away Matt Stafford. There's some, discrepancies there, and you add on a year of age, of course. But Marvin Jones had really good numbers this year. Yes, he had to become the number 1 because Golladay was out. But, I look at a team who's really trying to get that veteran guy to step in, and for me, it would be the New England Patriots for Marvin Jones.
Yeah, that's.
I think they got to go get someone. And I think he's a good target.
Yeah, and the Patriots, that's their move. They're going to go get one of this level of guys. I think the Patriots would love a Curtis Samuel. To me, that makes a whole lot of sense for the style of wide receiver they like the most. Look, I get that. To me, Corey Davis, I mean, he really never hit his potential until this past year.
He has more upside for sure.
He had a ton of upside as playing as the true wide receiver 2 on his team, playing on a team that was run first all the time, still able to put up 65 receptions on 92 targets, 984 yards, just 16 yards away from 1,000 yards, and 5 touchdowns. And Marvin Jones, better numbers, significantly better numbers, but pretty close. 76 receptions, 978 yards, and 9 touchdowns. So more touchdowns and more receptions, but about the same amount of yards. Look, they're just different. I feel like they're similar types of guys, but it's just a difference.
You say 4 years on one who also has more upside, but I'm just saying a 1 to 2 year deal with Marvin Jones, he's got veteran prowess.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And then the Corey Davis thing, he's 26, so he's probably looking for a legit 4 year deal where he's going to get paid. Marvin Jones is certainly going to be cheaper, I would think. And then Curtis Samuel, that's the guy no one's talking about. I'm very interested to see where Curtis Samuel goes, because look, I missed really, really hard on this Panthers offense and the way I thought it was going to go. Part of that was the injury of CMC, but part of it was Robbie Anderson just emerging. I had written Robbie Anderson off, and that was, I was wrong for that. He came in and took over that spot, and you nailed it. You told me I was wrong.
I thought Robbie would be good.
Yeah, and Curtis Samuel, who I think in the second half of the year they started to utilize him because they knew they needed to utilize him. He is a talent. It doesn't, just because Robbie Anderson went in there and took over a role that I thought Curtis Samuel could have, doesn't take away from Curtis Samuel's talent. It just kind of maybe puts him in the tier that he's probably in,
If you were to clip out Curtis Samuel's numbers from week 8 on, it pretty much looks like what he finished with at 77 catches, 851 yards, and 3 touchdowns. That's how strong of a back half he had, because the first 4 or 5 weeks of the season, I had him in fantasy. Yeah. He was silent. It's just they struggled to find ways to get him. I want to see him go to a team that could really use him as the true gadget player that he is. Mm-hmm. He's exciting. He's also a good wide receiver in that too, though. He doesn't have to just run jet sweeps and underneath routes. Yeah. He's a do-it-all guy. I would like to see the Tennessee Titans do it.
Oh, that would be a good spot for him.
They got to do something,
because Adam Humphries has been a little bit under.
He just didn't fit that role.
He's underperformed for, I feel like, a little bit. Curtis Samuel could be an interesting piece. Yeah. All right. So let's finish out the wide receiver conversation. A couple other guys here. These are, again, bottom, next tier down for me anyway. Yeah. Nelson Aguilar, Antonio Brown, and Sammy Watkins. Antonio Brown obviously being the bigger name. Look, he signed a 1-year deal. I think it's kind of expected that he goes back to the Bucs. I would expect that if he wants it.
Brady.
But at the end of the day, no team is going to shell out the big bucks for him. Does he still deserve it at 32 years old and played pretty well this past year? Maybe. I don't know. That's a question for everybody.
Yes.
You think so?
I think. Listen, it sucks that I'm actually getting back with the Antonio Brown thing after all of the bullshit that we went through. I just don't trust him. And all of it that was, I think people are forgetting. Like I saw a bunch of stuff being shared about how he was able to battle through all of this stuff and get back and win the Super Bowl. It's like, dude, this was fucking self-inflicted. Yeah. Let's not act like the world was just shitting on you and everything. Yeah. You welcomed up a lot of this adversity and opened up. All you had to do is wear a fucking helmet and you're still with the Raiders making 30-something million. Yeah. That's where we're at. So at the end of the day, though, like all this stuff self-inflicted. But now I'll look at the on-the-field stuff and the player in itself. He is an amazing talent. Yeah. He is a discounted price because of what the history that goes with it. Mm-hmm. Yes, someone's going to be able to get a steal with him.
Look, and I think a team that feels confident with their locker room and feels confident with their culture that they've built. That's the type of team that goes out and
I'd
gets
rather have AB
Brown.
than Will Fuller based on that caliber. I think Antonio Brown still has that caliber in him.
That's a fair point. I guess he's down in this level because of the negative thing. He's not going to get paid more than Will Fuller.
Take the price though.
Yeah, exactly.
If he's in the same breath as fucking Sammy Watkins and Nelson Aguilar, I'll tell you who I'm getting.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right, and obviously. I absolutely agree. Nelson Aguilar had a pretty good year this year. I think Sammy Watkins is done. He'll probably go play somewhere for a year and finish out his career. But at the end of the day, not an exciting player to really talk about. Nelson Aguilar will be interesting because he finally came alive.
We finally learned how to catch.
Yeah, but it makes you wonder. It goes back to that Eagles. He couldn't do anything on this Eagles team. Now he gets away from the Eagles, goes to a Raiders team that he was not supposed to be the guy for.
Supposed to be a thing.
Yeah, he was just a 1 year year maybe kind of
ended
player.
up being the red zone threat.
Yeah, so look, we'll see what happens with Nelson Aguilar. I'm interested to see how he performs next year wherever he's at. Don't really care where he goes. Like, it'll be interesting, but not super important either way. Interesting to see if he is maybe he's a tear jump. Maybe he's a dude who's earns that first round pick that he had all those years ago.
Still young, right?
Still a young guy. He's what, 25 now, 26. I don't have the number. I don't have the age right in front of me, but it's okay. Let's move on. Let's talk running backs for a second. Not nearly as long of a conversation. There's only a couple guys that are really obviously on the board. It's interesting though, because this is the year. Like, right? We had all of those big name running backs that came out in that 2017 draft class. Yeah. It was last year and then this year.
I thought this class would be more loaded.
Yeah, I did too. So
in free agency.
But some of them are hitting. So we have Aaron Jones, I think, is the clear number one, right? Does he stay with the Packers?
He should.
Well, will the Packers pay?
The Packers should in that. Aaron Jones can go get paid. I think he is a great talent at running back. The problem is you're a running back, and I think that goes for everyone on this list, is that you are so interchangeable. Mm-hmm. We saw, and especially with Matt LaFleur, he loves running Jamal Williams. Yeah. He was able to get A.J. Dillon late in the year. I mean, so at what point are you going to use a second-round pick on A.J. Dillon but then go pay Aaron Jones? I would assume at least top 7 running back money.
I mean, he says he could fetch $15 million. I don't think there's any way he stays with the Packers. Yeah. To me, first of all, you don't pay a running back $15 million. I don't care what team you are. That would be that $15 million a year. I'm saying that would be the highest paid running back in the league. I think Derrick Henry is getting 10.5 right now per year. So like that tells you
about the workload and team that he holds.
Exactly. Now Derrick Henry makes a lot of money in sponsorships and stuff, but still, Aaron Jones could do that too. But look, we still have a guy in the prime of his career. Should be 26 years old, a young guy, and he hasn't been run into the ground because the Packers did, for the most part, give him, spell him pretty well. It wasn't like, a Derrick Henry situation. I would even say a Chris Carson situation, which we'll get to, where if Chris Carson was active, he was probably getting the ball. I mean, he was clearly the workhorse. Obviously, Aaron Jones a lot more talented, I would say. But yeah, I think at the end of the day, you didn't draft A.J. Dillon in the second round for no reason. You had to have a reason. You had to be looking at this contract for Aaron Jones and say, hey, we're not going to pay him. And I'm sure last year,
there's a team to prove us wrong. Who is it? Time and time again, though.
You're right. You're absolutely right.
They will just piss their MVP quarterback off, and he'll go do it again. I guess that's what they do.
Listen, hey, I get it. We'll see what happens with Aaron Jones. Next guy on this list for me is Chris Carson. I think you disagree.
No, Chris Carson.
Oh, you put Chris Carson there. Look, 26 years old, has had a ton of injury issues. I think he's the guy that should stay with the Seahawks. I hope he stays with the Seahawks. I hope the Seahawks give him a I don't think he deserves. I don't think anybody else on this list deserves to get crazy money, but deserves to get veteran running back money, which is he
needs to get paid
$5 to $6 million
to stay home, and do that. And in a run heavy attack like Seattle, I just can't picture him going anywhere else in my head. I know that he could, and he could do play his game and do his thing. It's just he fits the Seattle scheme in which they do. Yeah. They run him into the ground. It's sad to say. Bit of a fumbling problem. He kind of fixed that this year, though. Yeah. Everything was good. He had banged up here and there, but that's just because you're giving him the fucking ball. Yeah. And they need another running back. If Carson stays, they need another one to help.
Yeah, 178 touches this year. Right. I mean,
that's in only 12 games.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's
dude.
Bad.
That's a lot. Look, I absolutely agree. I think he is staying. I mean, again, running backs are so interchangeable. They could go anywhere. I look at the Dolphins to sign one of these guys. One of these guys on this list will go to the Dolphins because Myles Gaskins is not going to be asked to do it alone. Dolphins will probably draft a running back as well. That's the position that they do need to address. I think the Jets are going to be in play for one of these guys. They're not going to pay one of them for sure, but we'll see what they end up doing. But I mean, for the most part, who knows? Let's move on to James Conner here. And this is a guy I'm not super on.
I disagree.
Yeah, no, actually, I do too. I don't know why I put James Conner. Let's move on to Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm doing here.
Lev should be next just because of what you're able to look at in the past and see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, some of the ways that he plays right now in his running style just kind of, at first, whenever he was really, really hitting it was like, wow, that is game-changing. Yeah. Now, kind of makes him look slow at times. Yeah. It does.
He doesn't have that burst because he's always...
And that's the scary part. Yeah, because he's always hiding and then waiting, and then he would cut. Yeah. But you take him out of that Pittsburgh style, and we have yet to see that really hit. Yeah. But listen, I stand by Le'Veon Bell. I don't think he should be paid elite money. He should not be paid elite money. We learned that with the New York Jets. Yeah. I'm glad Lev was able to get his out while ever he could. Yeah. But, you put him on a good offense. I would like to see him take a discount rate and go to Buffalo.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, I think that would be a good fit,
There
too.
are offenses that he could go to in a good fit system where he is still able to be used. I think he needs to be utilized as a pass catcher way more than what he was at New York, especially because Adam Gase, you suck, and kind of get back to the Pittsburgh days.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. I think it'll be interesting to see what happens with the Bucs and their running back situation. But I would have said that he would be a good fit there too.
Yes.
As far as just the Bucs loading up on talent for Tom Brady one more time. I absolutely agree. I'm not as high on him as you are. I would not pay him. I wouldn't pay him a lot, but he could go somewhere. Look, you know what'll happen probably? He'll probably be the guy who the Texans overpay to bring in.
See, and I don't want that for him because I don't think it would work. I want him to go to a place that he can succeed.
Yeah.
And that's why, yes, he could take the big money, and in the past he's taken the big money. We've seen that's why he sat out in the first place. Maybe a reunion with Pittsburgh if they're able to get past all the bad blood and stuff. I mean, I can't
see that happening. I can't.
Pittsburgh has nowhere else to go.
I mean, they have some. The thing is, they draft a running back every year in the draft. From rounds 3 to rounds 5, they always draft a running back somewhere.
I don't think
I think it's the right decision. Benny Snell maybe, but honestly, I don't even care about Benny. McFarland's the dude for me.
He did look
McFarland looked good. I think McFarland's the guy in Pittsburgh this year. People are saying, they need a running back. I don't think. I mean, draft one. They will. They'll draft somebody. The Michael Carter or something like that in the 4th or 5th round. 3rd round maybe, but I mean, I think McFarland's the guy personally.
Well, and maybe that's why they're okay with letting James Conner walk for what he is.
Hey, that's a perfect segue. James Conner's gone. I feel like I don't think James Conner was that ultra talented in my opinion. He's a amazing story, good player, but I mean, you saw them. They were doing just fine with Anthony McFarland and Benny Snell. Benny Snell, it feels like very much of a hierarchy with the Steelers. Like, man, James Conner's been here the longest. We're going to give him the ball. Benny Snell's been here the second longest. We'll give him the ball. And then Anthony McFarland got the chance. I think this will be the year where that changes a little bit. I don't think they're not going to pay a running back. And James Conner was nowhere near the level of like what Le'Veon Bell was when he was their starter, that they would really even entertain anything more than like a bottom barrel deal. And I don't think that's what James Conner would take.
I just don't think they need it either.
Yeah, they don't need to.
With the names that they have. But James Conner is a solid running back who still has something for a team, yes.
Yeah.
Should he get paid like that, though? Like, when you think of free agent market and Aaron Jones and all these, Chris Carson, he's not up there.
No, not even close.
He's just not. He's going to go somewhere and he'll get some touches in a system running back field where, he might be able to do it. At first, when Lev was sitting out that year, James Conner came on strong.
He did.
Very strong.
That first year he did,
I think that was part of the elite team that Pittsburgh had, though, in that offense.
Yeah.
A monstrous offensive line and just good touches, good quality touches out the ass.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why he was able to, produce so much in that system. Right now,
look,
he's a running back.
He's a running back. Hey, look,
much rather draft a guy in the 4th or 5th. That's where I kind of start to look at running backs, whether you pay him or not.
And at the end of the day, it's like, look, running backs have 5 years. I mean, really, you start to see a decline after 5 years. It feels like almost every single time. Look at Ezekiel Elliott. I mean, he's fallen off a cliff after 3 or 4 years.
Right. You take away that line.
Yes.
They went from a top 5 line to a bottom 5 line. And where's your Zeke at?
And listen, I'm not saying he's garbage, but he's not as good as he was. He's not as elite as he was. And you're right, offensive line is a huge factor of that. But man, you pay your offensive lineman first, and then you just go get a young running back. That's the way this works. Real quick, we got to mention Kenyon Drake. Just more than anything to shit on me a little bit because I was dead wrong about this take. I thought after what he did with the Cardinals from like week 8 to week 16 that he was going to come into 2020 and just be absolutely awesome.
A lot of fantasy owners did too.
Yeah, and I was one of them. And I was wrong. Look, he was slow. He was not fun to watch. He only got the ball, it felt like, just because he got paid. And look, he racked up 1,000 yards, 10 touchdowns, which I didn't even realize, but 264 touches. Terrible yards per touch. And look, it felt like he would run through the line, he'd get 2 yards, move on. And the guy behind him was better. I mean, in every single way. And I'm
Chase Edmonds.
Thank you. I was like, I'm blanking on his name, but he was the more explosive running back.
He's a better version of Kenyon Drake without the price. So.
Exactly.
Yeah, Kenyon Drake had like 3 or 4 games where he was able to eclipse that 100-yard, and he had a few multiple touchdown games. Mm-hmm. That's why I think some of these stats are inflated. Yeah. I'm glad you mentioned the 274 touches because it doesn't show enough. You take away 3 of those games where he was able to hit 140, 2 touchdowns. He did that 1 or 2 times. That changes these numbers
immensely.
Yes, that's how it goes.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
They don't need him on that offense.
Move on. Yeah, I don't know where he goes.
Miami pays him.
Miami can pay him. Miami can pay him.
Y'all are rumored for running back, and I think you're going to.
Yeah, we're going to, but we're not. if we get a Kenyon Drake, he's a bottom of the barrel deal. Look, personally, me personally, I don't want to pay the Aaron Jones. I would much rather grab James Conner and draft a running back in the 3rd round. Oh, totally. And I'm not high on James Conner, but that's
draft an elite one at 36.
Yeah, I wouldn't even do that, honestly.
Draft an elite one at 36. Come on. Get around to
Fuck
it.
running backs, man.
That's the second
They're never
round.
valuable. No,
I'm not even saying take them.
I want a value pick. I'd rather get the linebacker that I believe.
That's a value pick. That's where Dalvin went.
Yeah, look, but I mean, you're absolutely right. Dalvin's awesome, but that's not what our team's going to be either. We're not going to be a run-first team. So I just don't expect that.
What if in some world Javonte Williams is there? Should be. Very well.
Look, I love Javonte Williams. I'm probably going to be a little different than everybody else. I'm getting to the point where Javonte Williams and Najee Harris are very close for me. Javonte Williams is almost in that tier 1 for me.
Whoa.
Yeah, no, they're in the same tier. They're close, and I don't know if when I officially put out my rankings, I'm gonna have Javonte Williams in tier 1 along with those other two. I love Javonte Williams.
He's
awesome.
electric.
I'm not
going to take the approach about not liking him. I just like Najee that much.
Yeah, and that's just me saying.
What if it's Etienne?
Etienne, fuck.
Because if we're talking at pick 36.
You're right.
I don't realistically see a team taking Etienne no running back in the top 20 this year. Guaranteed. I feel confident in saying not top 25.
Yeah, I think top 20, top 25, no running back goes. I don't think a running back goes in the first round.
Then we're going based off of what other teams value running backs at. And let's look at the Kansas City Chiefs evaluation of Clyde Edwards-Helaire last year. Mm-hmm. No one was talking about him going.
Nobody. No.
That's the Javonte Williams of this year. I'm not comparing styles. I'm comparing name based on. Yeah. That's the guy that is in the back half that people aren't talking about when people are. Etienne and Najee versus last year on Dobbins and Swift.
Yeah.
Those two are the 1 and 2 you can't miss. CH came up and got the number 1.
Yeah.
So maybe that's what I'm saying. Would you be okay with Etienne?
Neither of those guys actually went either 1 or 2.
That's what I'm saying. How weird it was.
Yeah.
I get 36?
That. Yeah, if Etienne's there at 36, I would do it. But to me, Etienne, at least for my rankings, Etienne is going to be like a notch ahead of Najee and wherever Javonte Williams goes. But I think Javonte Williams and Najee both deserve to go 2nd round, early to mid-2nd round. But I'm a Dolphins fan and I'm a draft value guy. So I always lean towards fading running backs. Yeah, so that's where we're at. All right, let's really quickly, a couple tight ends, 2 tight ends we're going to talk about. Let's just name them at the same time. Hunter Henry, Jonnu Smith, both tight ends, both 26, 25 years old. Obviously, we know Hunter Henry has had all those injury issues.
Yes.
But, I mean, there was a time when we thought Hunter Henry was going to be the guy.
All pro.
All pro. Yeah, exactly. And how the tables have turned. I hope he stays with the Chargers. I just want Justin Herbert seemed to have a pretty good connection with him last year. It wasn't awesome, but caught 60 passes, 613 yards, 4 touchdowns in just 14 games. So that's pretty okay.
That's what I see happening. I think he needs to stay because he's not going to get the big bucks because of the injury prone.
Yeah.
And I think he can do well in the system. So stay.
Yeah. I absolutely agree. I feel the same way about Jonnu Smith.
I do too. I think Jonnu should stay. Yeah. Jonnu is the way that Vrabel and all of them are able. Well, Arthur Smith, we'll have to see what the new OC is able to do and bring in. But they're able to use him in a lot of sexy, flirty ways at fullback. Off, getting some handoffs here and there in the flats. Yeah. He's fast. He's physical. He's good. Stay with Tennessee.
Yeah, I agree.
If not, I want to see the Titans get Baby Gronk 2nd round.
Baby Gronk.
Pat Freiermuth.
Pat Freiermuth. Yeah, you're really hot. There's a lot of good tight ends in this class.
I fuck with Freiermuth.
These guys are not going to get the money they want.
You want to know what my vice is? What? My vice is good fucking tight ends.
You like tight ends?
I love tight ends. I love Cole Kmet. I love Hawkinson. And I love Baby Gronk.
Yeah.
Fuck. And Kyle Pitts, I don't count him, though. He's a different monster.
He's another
He's
human.
Got a tight end.
Yeah. He's a different person.
That's what he is.
Shit, man. You're not wrong. All right. Hey, let's move on to linemen really quick. Then we're going to finish off the offensive side of free agency. Next week, we're going to come in and do the defensive side of free agency really fast just because, I'm being honest, I don't scout offensive linemen very well. It's not what I pay attention to when I watch the games. Brandon Scherf, Trent Williams, Corey Lensley. Stud as center, by the way, for the Packers. Taylor Moton, that's where I feel like you get
plug and play.
Yeah, plug and play. He was the guy who was traded from the Chargers to the Panthers. Again, I don't know who's going to get paid, who's going to stay. Yeah. We'll see. Joe Thuney.
Stud.
Yeah, he dropped off a little bit this past year, according to PFF, but he's still a good player. Still a really good player. I can't even say that name. Steelers tackle. Villanueva. Thank you.
Veteran. He's a really good veteran.
32 years old. That's where you get to. You have Russell Okun and Villanueva. They're going to get a 1-2 year deal on a team that needs a tackle, and it would be interesting. A guy who I really like, who's had some some injury issues with the Carolina Panthers, but moved over to the Buffalo and played really well with Buffalo this year. Darrell Williams.
I think Buffalo needs to retain him.
Yeah, I think so too. He's a really good guard, and he's like a guard tackle hybrid. He can if one of the tackles gets hurt, he'll scoot over to tackle, but he's really a guard. All right, we got that out of the way. We got to mention quarterbacks. I completely forgot about quarterbacks. I apologize. I don't think any of these guys go anywhere, at least the interesting names. But we got to talk about it. Where's your take on Dak Prescott, first of all?
Franchise tag.
Yeah.
You name the amount of money or shots or whatever you want me to bet on it, he's getting franchise tagged.
Yeah, he is.
It only makes sense. It's after an injury year.
Yep.
He didn't sign the $35 million deal that they offered him in the first place. That's fine. Believe and bet on yourself all you want. That's fine. You're not getting that fucking offer this go around, though. You're not. They'll franchise tag.
Yeah, and the thing is, he bet on himself, and I understand, hey, bet on yourself. He didn't expect the injury. That sucks. The injury really isn't going to kick his number that far down, I don't think.
No.
But what's going to hurt him...
franchise tag's easy.
What's going to hurt him is the cap going down, and the Cowboys already pay a bunch of guys.
Yeah.
So Dak's sitting there thinking, well, the cap's only going to go up, the money's only going to go up. Not really the case, and how could you have seen that coming? Like, you don't blame him for that.
Dak shouldn't be upset with the franchise tag, though, because of that reason.
$35 million. He got $35 million last year.
And give the franchise tag a year to let the world get back to normal with COVID, let the NFL get their revenue back up to where it should be. The cap goes up. Dak's on another deal where he can just go field the market.
Listen, at the end of the day, Dak is a better quarterback than Kirk Cousins, and Kirk Cousins played this franchise tag game with his team and made out like a bandit at the end of the day. And look, went to a good team. Like, we can say whatever we want to.
Swindling that said team.
Yeah. We can say whatever we want about the Vikings now, but when he went to the Vikings, we thought there was a window.
And there was a Super Bowl window.
Sorry, he's a Vikings fan.
There was a Super Bowl window. I fucking hate past tense.
I hate past tense.
Motherfucker's about to make $42 million. You were a formidable quarterback. You were a 12 to 8 quarterback. Sometimes in the months of November, you're number 5 on that list. Enjoy your $42 million.
It's got to be nice.
It feels good.
Yeah. I read an article that says he saves every cent, too.
I bet he does.
Yeah,
I bet he fucking coupons. I hope he fucking coupons, motherfucker.
All right, let's move on. God, I love talking about Kirk Cousins with you.
Me too.
Jameis Winston is gonna stay with the Saints. Look, the Saints
really promising future.
Yeah, the Saints have a lot of cap issues right now.
Especially for Jameis, not the Saints. The Saints are fucked. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, no, they have a great team.
Fucked.
They have a great team. They're fine, but they do have some decisions to make, and it'll be interesting to see what happens. But for the Saints are one of those teams. They really, really, really got fucked by the cap going down this year. I mean, that's just they were kind of on the edge already. So we'll see what happens there. What also is going to help is if Drew Brees does retire, because he's dragging his feet right now. When Drew Brees officially retires, that's going to open up some money. Right now, they can't do anything. They are hamstrung until Drew Brees officially retires. Apparently, that's going to happen. And what I think Drew Brees is going to end up doing is he's going to push some of that guaranteed money into next year, and he'll just get paid for he'll get paid next year for whatever was guaranteed on his contract. They can do little things like that to open up some cap room. Jameis Winston could be the future of the Saints.
Yeah, he could be. With Sean Payton and all those weapons around him, I see no other reason why not.
It's not Taysom Hill. Do we agree with that?
No, it's not Taysom. I think Sean Payton has lied to Taysom and told him that there's time. That's why we saw so little of Jameis this year, just to make Taysom happy in areas. But Taysom's not a quarterback. He's not a franchise quarterback. He's a great Swiss Army knife who can throw the ball from time to time.
Yeah, look, and that's okay. It's not like Taysom Hill will be with the Saints for a long time, and he's going to be fun to talk about for a long time, and might get some backup opportunities here and there.
And when you go into New Orleans Saints lore, Taysom Hill will be one of those trivia questions.
Now, according to Sean Payton in an interview, the reason that Jameis Winston didn't start is because Taysom Hill was promised by Sean Payton that he would get the chance if something were to happen that year, and that's fair. That's okay. Jameis Winston was paid $1 million to hang around. They were probably very impressed with the talent, because nobody can tell me Jameis Winston does not have immense physical talent. I mean, just by itself, it's all up here. We'll see what Sean Payton can do. If it's anybody, Sean Payton can fix Jameis Winston.
Get to the next one.
Yeah, Cam Newton.
Come on.
Cam Newton, former 2015 MVP. Oh, how the times change. Listen, look, give him his credit. He did all he could for the Patriots.
It was COVID. It was COVID, man.
It was COVID.
First 4 weeks of the year, he was a top 10 quarterback.
Yeah.
He was playing great.
Yeah.
We saw him throw for 430 yards against Seattle.
But to be fair, a gentle gust of wind hit him, and then he was hurt after that.
He didn't get hurt.
You know, he was played hurt.
He played.
Yeah, he played.
He played banged up, but
yeah,
I think
exactly.
it was COVID. I think it was the lack of preparation and preparedness that we got to see with Cam and Belichick, who didn't get to see that.
I agree.
And Jacoby Myers is your best weapon? Get out of here. Get out of here, man. God dang, bring Cam Newton and let him throw the ball to me. That's what he's dealing with. He had nothing around him.
There's no arguments.
And then we have to listen to 17-year-olds on Twitter go try to mouth off to for a Heisman winner, a national champion, a number 1 overall pick, a 2015 unanimous MVP, the all-time leader in rushing touchdowns.
He was right to be talking shit, though.
No, he wasn't.
He's not. He ain't shit anymore.
Cam Newton is a 32.
Rile him up.
1 through 32, Cam Newton lands on that. Mainly at the bottom.
I can't help it. I'm sorry. I completely agree with everything
I
he said.
swear to God, I'll make you name 1 through fucking 32.
I completely agree with everything he said.
I get so much hate. Listen, I'll die on it. I'll die on the Cam Newton fucking hill, man. I love Cam Newton. I will fight for you, and I hope one day you see this because, bro, I got your back. I got your back. I don't know what you need me for, but I got your back.
I love it.
I ain't going to deal with that Cam slander, bro.
I love it. Listen, where do you think he goes?
I don't know.
Okay.
I think Philadelphia would be a good job. I think he needs to go to a spot where he could push the starter, and if the situation arises with better weapons, Cam can do it.
Yeah.
Cam can't. He played better than Stidham last year. Listen, we know what Stidham isn't. That's for sure. Stidham played like garbage whenever he was stepping in. So I don't want to hear it. Cam Newton tried to do too much in certain areas. Cam Newton literally lost 3 games on his own legs and fumbles.
Yeah.
That sucks. There were times where he was able to get the most out of some of these nobody weapons that the Patriots had, though.
Yeah.
And it just sucks just because it puts such a chip on his shoulder and then my shoulder because of how much I like Cam Newton that every time something bad happens, I get tagged in it.
Yeah.
But every time something good happens, 400 yards against Seattle, at Seattle, 12th man, a goal line rush that was a very...
At Seattle, come on. This year doesn't count as at Seattle.
Okay, it doesn't count as at Seattle, but then you should give Cam Newton his flowers for having to deal with a COVID year.
Hey, look, I do. I give him a bunch of credit. I also give Bill Belichick credit in saying, hey, they were a 7-8-1 team if Cam Newton doesn't fumble the ball 3 times.
And I said that, though. I covered that.
Yeah, agree.
I'm not saying he's top 10. Yeah. I'm not even saying he's top 15.
Yeah.
I'm saying he can be a starter in this league.
Agree.
And you're dumb if you say otherwise.
Yeah, agreed. Absolutely agreed. It truly, to me, just depends on how much he can upkeep his arm and his body. Because, I mean, it is starting to deteriorate. Yeah. I think that's fair to say.
He puts a lot of oomph on a 7-yard out.
Yeah. I think you are the absolute most right when you say that go to the Eagles and push Jalen Hurts and Cam Newton would be the perfect
I think it's
backup.
A similar style.
Cam Newton could be the perfect backup if he takes on that role and accepts it. If he's a little prick about it, then probably not. But
that's true.
Yeah.
Cam also, because Cam has brought a lot of stuff on himself with
Yeah.
the way that he talks and the flair and all that stuff. You got to be able to handle it.
Yeah, absolutely. So look, I agree with you. I don't need to say anything about Cam Newton. We're good. Last one, just worth mentioning because as assuming the quarterback's position stays the same for the Dolphins, I would love for the Dolphins to retain Ryan Fitzpatrick. I think anybody who's been a fan of a team that had Ryan Fitzpatrick as their quarterback has a soft spot in their heart for Ryan Fitzpatrick. I don't know what it is about him. I don't know,
he has a curse, man.
Dude, a blessing and a curse.
A curse for whoever the other quarterback on the team is.
Wherever he goes, he starts at some point. One way or the other, he starts. But he did a lot for Tua as a backup. Fitzpatrick's in that point of his career where it's like there's going to be teams that are willing to pay him $4 or $5 million, whatever it ends up being, to go be the backup for 2 years for a young guy. I mean, it's just if the Jags do it, are you going to be surprised?
No,
not at all.
Fitzpatrick can go anywhere and pretty much fill that role. Yeah. I think he puts a lot back that goes behind the scenes into his team and the work and stuff. It did hurt to see whenever the Dolphins officially named Tua the starter, and you saw Fitzpatrick talk about.
Yeah, he thought it was his team.
It was uncharacteristic of him normally, but I get what he's saying, though.
Yeah, of course. And I get it, too. And I was kind of devastated with him. I wish Tua would have just not played a single snap this year. I really do.
You'd feel a lot better, wouldn't you?
I'd feel a lot better, yeah.
It'd still be a mystery.
Yeah, I wish it was a mystery. Yeah, look, and it was his team. They were rolling, and Tua, look, they won with Tua, though, at the beginning, and that defense was really good. They were running the ball pretty well. The offensive line was blocking pretty well. It wasn't great, but it was okay. okay? Yeah, look, we'll see what happens. Fitzpatrick still has a little juice to start, but at the end of the day, a high-quality backup that is worth mentioning. I had to put it on there just for my love of Ryan Fitzpatrick. All right, last thing, and then we're going to get out of here. I went through on Spodak and just kind of went through some of the bigger contracts of wide receivers, running backs, and tight ends, and just looked for guys that might be getting cut. This is the year. This is the year where we're going to see some surprise cuts, and we want to prepare you for them, all right? So we're going to go wide receivers first, and I'm going to kind of just go rapid fire and then just get your reactions on the wide receivers. Jarvis Landry, all right? You saved $13.25 million by cutting him, and it's a $1.5 million cap hit in 2020, right? Tyrell Williams, you save $11.6 million, no dead cap hit. That's going to happen. That's guaranteed almost. Golden Tate, you save $8 million by cutting him with just $4.7 million against the cap through the next 2 years. By the way, that 1.5 dead cap was just 2020. There's, I think, another 1.5 in 2021 as well. Jamison Crowder, wide receiver I really like, but you saved $10.3 million by cutting him, and it's just $1 million against the cap. Emmanuel Sanders, you save $8.5 million by cutting him, just $2 million against the cap. John Brown, good player, played really well. $8 million saved by cutting him, $1.6 million against the cap.
I like him.
I understand that's the question mark. That's probably where people will disagree, and that's fine. I'm just putting it out there. Cole Beasley, $5.8 million saved, 1.5 against the cap. Marquise Goodwin, again, another guy I think is gone. $4.5 million saved. You cut him, nothing against the cap. So what were your reactions there with some of the wide receivers I named there?
Jarvis is surprising. We'll have to see what the Browns do with the Odell and Jarvis situation. I think the Browns are in a situation where they need one of them, guaranteed.
Oh, absolutely.
I think you got to let Odell go just because of the way that Baker has. It's just a Baker problem with tunnel vision. Yeah. Odell, he literally just hones in on him from as soon as he says hut. And he'll get Odell 13 targets, but 2 catches at the end of the day. Yeah. And it looks bad on both of them, Yeah. Keep Jarvis. He's a great talent. Yes, you save money on the books, but you are a playoff caliber team. Yeah. And a few plays away, questionable plays too against the Chiefs from going to the championship game.
Yeah, look, I agree with it, and I'm not sitting here saying, hey, you have to cut these guys. I wanted to put a good. No,
you're saying just a good dollar amount to a name.
I'm just saying, is he worth $14.75 million a year over the next 2 years? That's a question mark. I think that's a fair question mark. If the Colts are like, if the Browns are like, man, we could cut him and sign Juju for half that. Like, I don't know. That might be something they consider doing. Again. I think the other two for me were Jamison Crowder and John Brown that were truly like they played well. They deserve to be on the team they're on. But
I think with the Jets and Jamison Crowder, I think he's going to stay because they have the money.
Yeah. They do have the money. That's a good point as well. The Bills, like I am a strong proponent of they need a wide receiver too. I like John Brown. I like him a whole lot more as a wide receiver 3 though. That's just my opinion. I think they need a legit guy on the other side that is scary. I don't think that's what John Brown is. I think he's a really, really solid receiver, but he's not scary. And like that's just my take for a team that just feels like they're one guy away. Yeah, exactly. It feels like they're one guy away. If you could cut both of those guys and sign Allen Robinson, by the way, you cut Cole Beasley and John Brown, you have $13.8 million available. You could go sign Allen Robinson, and you still have Gabe Davis, who played pretty well as their wide receiver 4. It's not bad at all. All right, let's get into running backs that could cut. Most of these, the running back position is what it is. David Johnson and Duke Johnson are gone. David Johnson is $6.7 million. You save $6.7 million, 2.1 dead cap, and Duke Johnson, you save $5 million, nothing against the cap. That's crazy. I mean, we talked about in the offseason about how they were overpaying the running back position as a whole, but it's crazy that the Texans were paying those two guys $11.5 million. That means that Duke Johnson and David Johnson in 2020 was worth more than a Derrick Henry. Like
staggering.
That's ridiculous. That's stupid. That just speaks to the ineptness of what that entire organization has been. Yeah. Gio Bernard, I think, is another name. You save $4 million, $600,000 against the cap. Gio Bernard's a guy you can replace in the draft pretty easily. I feel the same way about the rest of these names. Jalen Richard, you save $3.5 million, no dead cap, and Latavius Murray, you save $3.3 million, $850,000 dead cap. And Latavius Murray, I felt like really underperformed last year. I was not happy with. It just felt like he lost a step. So I feel like he needs to go.
Nothing crazy here. Gio's always a hot fantasy pickup whenever Mixon gets hurt, because that always happens. For sure. I don't know. I kind of dig Rashard, though, with where he's at on the Raiders. Yeah. I think he's good. Josh Jacobs, awesome running back, and all kind of slowed down towards the end, though, and I think he kind of Richard gives him that, passing aspect.
He's a good option. I think I hate Richard solely because I was so high on Josh Jacobs this past year, and Richard just cut a knife into my fantasy production.
He did.
So that might just be a personal thing.
Especially, God, it was sad.
Yeah, so that totally could just be a personal thing, and I threw him in there because there was no dead cap.
Tight end's got some good names.
Yeah, there's some interesting names here, man. Jimmy Graham.
Interesting.
Yeah, Jimmy Graham. You save $7 million, just $3 million against the cap if you cut him. I cannot believe Jimmy Graham got that kind of deal at this point in his career because he was signed last year, right?
I couldn't believe it either.
Yeah, that was ridiculous.
And you draft Cole Kmet.
Yeah.
What?
Ridiculous. I think Cole Kmet's going to be good, too.
Cole Kmet should be the guy stepping into that system. Let Jimmy Graham go. The next one pisses me off.
Kyle Rudolph, you save $8 million, just $1.45 million against the cap if you cut him.
You know the problem with it?
What?
Is the Vikings came forward to him and asked him to restructure, and he said
no.
Now, I get it. You sign a contract, you are entitled to that money when you sign that contract. I completely and Kyle Rudolph, you probably don't have a future payday coming. You will land somewhere, but it's not going to be $8 million or whatever you're getting right now. So I get why you would be reluctant to want to restructure. I get that. But I thought that you were ready to commit to a Super Bowl winning team. And let's be honest, Irv Smith is the future at that position right there. So, I don't know. Get cut.
Yeah.
Bye. That's fine.
Man, it's been a tough pod for you, man. I feel like
it's tough.
I feel like it's been emotional.
It's a tough Vikings pod.
We had some Kirk Cousins talk got you heated. We got Cam Newton getting you going.
Yeah.
Now Kyle Rudolph to end it. All right, we got to end it. Last one here. OJ Howard.
I'd get pissed off about him if I wanted to. Yeah. I'd have to try, but I don't know.
$6 million against the cap. No dead cap space if you cut him. I think OJ Howard's just underperformed. Again, I get that that's a big name or a bigger name, and obviously got injured this past year, so people might still be thinking, hey, he's the dude. I don't know. They didn't need him in the Super Bowl, so we'll see what happens.
They don't.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't know. He's underperformed throughout his career. He's not the guy they drafted in the first round, or they thought they were getting in the first round. That's it. That's all I got. All right, guys. Thank you.
Defense next week.
Defense next week. Thank you so much for watching. We will be putting out all the best defensive players. We'll be diving into all that good stuff. Please like and subscribe. The Between the Pylons podcast. If you were watching on the Underdog Network, thank you so much for watching. But go check out the Between the Pylons podcast. Check that out. Check us out there. We got a lot of good stuff. Between the Pylons YouTube channel is what I'm trying to say. Draft profile, stuff like that. If you're into any of that stuff, check it out. Thank you so much for watching. Peace out, guys.
Thank you, guys.